for the students as well. So we would like to thank you for contributing and being interested in what the schools of Elizabeth are actually doing. I'm going to actually turn over the mic now to our moderator, who is here, and he will have some questions. And our moderator is Reverend Bartley tonight, and he will be able to start this question and answer.
How's everybody? Hi, y'all look so mean at me. Yeah, loosen up a little bit. Loosen up a little bit. I want to first thank the school board president, Reverend, and the board members for making this day possible. I think this is something that is way overdue. And so we want to thank you all for coming, being a part of this town hall meeting down here at School 28. Also, I want to thank the Assistant Superintendent Jerome Dunn here tonight, who should be here because his responsibility is to be down here in the community. I want to set some ground rules before we get started. I see we have many children here tonight, and so I really need your cooperation. And what we want to do tonight is to be very respectful to each other. Questions that you have, I think we do not need any outbursts, because if there's any outbursts, I would immediately ask that you please, sir, be seated. Our children are here today, and our first and foremost responsibility is the welfare and the education of our children. And so if you came here tonight with any other ulterior motive, you've come to the wrong place. There are other issues that you need to discuss, whether you need to go up to the Mitchell building or other buildings where you can speak to, whether it's an attorney or whoever else you need to speak to. But if these concerns are not for the welfare of the community, they will not be heard tonight, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to better serve our children and to make sure that they're getting the proper education, and they're getting it just as good as someone that lives in Millstone, Princeton, where this city is just as important as any other city. And so I would ask, ma'am, I would ask her, that you would please respect that. Because if you don't, we're not going to let you speak tonight, because our children are listening and they're watching everything we do tonight. And many of them will go home tomorrow and imitate what they see us do tonight. They'll do it with their children, they'll do it outside playing. And so we need your undivided attention to make sure you understand that that's why we're here. And so maybe I need to go into a 30-second intermission. Those of you that have other agendas, maybe you want to leave now. Because if you do not follow these rules, you will not be able to speak. You will not come here tonight and embarrass our children. You will not come here tonight to do that. All right? Can everybody just say? Second thing I want to do is to do something that no one knew that I was going to do. I've not come here to be on anyone's side other than the children. But many of you remember a couple months ago when they had indicted George Zimmerman, the lead prosecutor. She says to everyone all over the country that she has one person in mind, and that is the victim. She said that was her main concern, the victim. And I think our children are our primary concern. That's why I'm here today. And so I received some questions. I received some were good, some were bad. What I'm going to ask that we do tonight, since I've been given the responsibility to moderate, I'm going to ask James Curry if he would come up. Yeah, Mr. Won't you come up? Nobody knew this but me and God. And this is the way I would like to do this, because James Curry knows that I'm a fair person. He knows that I'm a fair person, and I know he's a fair person. I know he stands up for right, and I know he wouldn't do anything that would jeopardize his character and the children's welfare tonight. And so what I want to do is, I want Mr. Kelly to take a look at some of these questions first. And I would like for you to figure out which ones you think we should hear tonight and which ones you think we should. That was really good, wasn't it? That way nobody can say that this side, that side, everybody respects, right? He's a very respectful person. He's a part of People for Progress. Him and I work together. I'm the president of the National Action Network under the leadership of Reverend Sharpton and James Curry, People for Progress. We call them POP. And so I think that this would be fair if we did that. All right? So he's going to be doing that now. There are a few of you who might not have wrote something down. A few of you who might have wrote something down, and you would just like to speak. Because you asked that if we allow you to speak, address the board, that you be your name, what school your child attends, or whoever you might be. And then we'll give them an opportunity to respond. And so once you say what you have to say, then you have to give them a moment to respond. But again, you have to do it in a respectful way. And so if we can get that done, I think we can really do some work. Plan to get out of here at 8 o'clock, and so we don't have long, and so we want to use our time real wisely. Who's on the phone? Is there anyone that would like to speak before we go through these? Anyone would like to stand and speak? Or is the papers ready? Yeah, the ones that need to be interpreted, the ones that need interpretation, new interpretation. Thank you. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gladys Oparanosi. My children's schools, school 7 and school 13. My question is this. The things they wrote, I don't know why you're trying to separate them. Is it that it's time? We don't have time or what? I don't understand. Because I think everybody who wants his own view to be read so that we know what he or she wants to say.
I can answer that question for you. I can answer that question for you. Would you like me to answer that question? The reason why we want to pull these questions out, because some of them, there is a time and place for everything. And some of the questions that are here, this is not the time or the place.
I'm just fine.
Can I finish now?
Yeah.
Let me give you an example, okay? Because we're here tonight about the children, right? This is what we're here for. Now, y'all not clapping for that. Now, we're here for the children. Let's clap for that too. Okay? Here's why nobody knew I was going to do this, right? Nobody knew I was, right, Jacob? Nobody knew I was going to do this. But as the moderator, when I see a question like, when are we going to settle some of the lawsuits with teachers so we can stop paying high attorney fees? Man, that's not a question for here tonight. That's not a question here. Let's be honest, man. Let's be honest. If this is concerning the welfare of the children, if this is, it's a different town hall meeting from if you were at City Hall. The first, listen, our meeting here today is for the welfare of our children. Not to get engaged in some political questions regarding attorneys, who's going to pay this, that's not what we're here for tonight. Well, here's my point. Here's my point. He doesn't know anything about what you're all talking about tonight. He probably want to know when we're going to get a bigger playground. When we're going to get some ice cream socials going on. When we're going to increase the PTA, the PTO. Things of that nature. What can I say, sir?
With all respect.
Yes, sir.
That is the benefit of the children. This is a town hall meeting. The money that's thrown out the wall has an effect on the children at the same time.
But now let me explain something to you. If the question would have been similar or relating to the children, like you just pointed out, well, that kind of makes it a little more different than this. Okay, but for somebody just to say, listen, I just want to know when we're going to settle all the lawsuits, your motive is not in the right spirit for this gathering. We want to accomplish something tonight. We don't want to leave and not accomplish anything. We need to accomplish something. Yes.
Hi, my name is Katrina Builder, and the suggestion that I have, because the meeting started out political, because the commentator earlier had put on what was going on, what was being said in the news. So when that question was being asked, why isn't it fair on only one side and not the parent side? Now, how we came, another suggestion is that maybe I should type up the progress that's going on in the community as far as the schools, so they're handing out to the parents that attend to the meeting, and then deal with the issues. Because a town hall meeting is addressing issues so that we can come together collectively so that we can have a solution. I'm not for adding on to the problem, I'm for a solution.
Okay, now, here's what I would suggest you do. Now, these are the questions. These are the questions. Very good. These are the questions. These are the ones what are we doing with these?
Basically, all the questions are people have the same sense.
So those are the ones you want to ask. Okay, the ones in my hand. Well, I'm going to take this one out. Okay, that's not, you're not here for that. Okay, now, what you just said is good, but here's what you need to do. Here's my suggestion to you. That what you just said, commissioners, is that it would be better maybe in the future that maybe you all can get a list of things, the accomplishments and the things that you all are working on, and so when you have meetings that you can distribute that to the parents, right? I don't think that would be a problem, right? They would love to do that. Right, that's good. That's good.
We got parents that go to work, those parents that we got children. Now, we're not addressing an issue. Sometimes we walk away and only a certain amount of questions was addressed. It takes a long time. Like, got a lot of issues because it's bad. You say that you got a school and that goes to that live in here.
Now, do you have that question in there? I want you to stand up on that. That is a very important concern. That's a great concern. And so they... Can you go back over that?
I'm not understanding how we have a brand new school that's right next to Pierce Mann. It's like in the backyard. And from my understanding, the children was told, or the parents was told that their children couldn't go to that new school that's donated in that area. They still going to the same school. My mother's a 1A. They still going to the same school right next to the Mitchell building. Now, why isn't it those children don't have access to that new school? And it seems like it's always a lottery, and there's not a lot of brown children that's going to that school. Now, going to the school, unfortunately, my daughter was able to go to the school. And that academic success, I want to hear a class when we have academic success at school one. If school one could be a blue ribbon school, that's what I see the turnaround. When I see the new school, and they only the blue ribbon school, I have a question about that. Because you know why? I have a child that goes to the new school, but when the child is not acting right, they say, I'm going to, if you don't act right, you go to the neighborhood school. If all the schools is geared to academic success, then no child should be threatened to go to the neighborhood school.
What do you want to address that? Anyone like to address that?
Sure, I'll try to make the best of that. I understand your concern. I really do. This is a great school. This is a new school. This is probably one of the poorest neighborhoods in the city of Elizabeth. Would you agree with that? Would you say this is one of the poorest neighborhoods in the school district at all, or no? You wouldn't agree with that? Okay, well, whether you do or you don't, I can tell you that it is, because the census tells us that it is. Okay, and I remember when this was a lot, the whole block was being lost because there's old Bethlehem steel. There was nothing here but a bodega where drugs were being sold and a bar that was open to all hours of the night and nothing but, I'll say, they were lowlifes. They were coming into our neighborhood and they were making it awful. And I say my neighborhood because I live right around the corner and I have a child who attends School 28. So I'm very proud of this school in particular because I was on the properties committee when we fought the state of New Jersey to build this school in this neighborhood because I understood the need this neighborhood had. And I can tell you, there was no one on the board that was against us building a school in this neighborhood because we are well aware of the fact that School 1 is overcrowded, okay, and that School 13 is just way too small, okay, and School 20 just on the other side has similar problems.
But what about the question that you...
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Unfortunately, when you build schools, you can't build them wherever the need is. You build them where the space is available. The Board of Ed doesn't build the school. We advocate to build the school. The state controls the whole construction. They allocate the monies, they acquire the land, and they decide where the school is going to be built. Okay? So what happens was, when we were building schools on the other side of town, for example, School 26, Ronald Reagan Academy, the idea was to give everyone an opportunity to go to the schools. So they created a lottery. Okay? Any day you stand here on First Street, you'll see children being bused all over the city to go to those schools who were actually chosen through the lottery. Okay? Now, unfortunately, I applied to those lotteries and my child didn't get in either. Okay? I want the best for my children. I have a 6 and an 8-year-old. I want the best school for my child, so when I see them building a state-of-the-art school on the other side of town where they're going to have the best opportunity, I, like you, wanted the same. Unfortunately, I didn't win the lottery either. Okay? Now, we had to redistrict the entire district to go to K-8 because we just don't have enough room for all our children. Okay? So when we redistricted the entire district, we drew the line, and some people ended up going to a school close to the line or further away from the line. Okay? The idea was to put students proportionally where they fit. This building here, I believe, was originally built for 750 children. Ms. Cafiano, what's your enrollment today? What is it? Okay, so you can see how it's grown. I mean, I remember one time I got as high as 900 children here. School 1 has nearly 1,100 children or more. So unfortunately, we can't accommodate every child in the school the parent wants them to go to. Okay, so when a child, when a child...
Wait one second. Say it again.
All right. When you say Blue Ribbon and academic success school, you see it in the new school. I said that I would be happy to hear that School 1 was a blue school. What is the difference between School 1 and this school? Besides it being new.
There isn't any difference. School 1 and School 28, there aren't any differences.
Know what the difference is? Again, I told you that my daughters go to a new school. If she has a behavior issue, or if she's not doing the work, they would say to her, if you don't do right, you have to go to the neighborhood school. So they have the neighborhood school to deal with any issues that the child may have, whether the child is academically successful or not. They will have to know how to deal with it. Now, while when the child is in the new school, it's either you're going to act right and go forward or go ahead, or we're going to put you back in the neighborhood school. And the neighborhood school is not succeeding. All the schools that got the blue ribbon and have the high numbers is not coming from the neighborhood old schools.
Let me correct you, okay? That isn't the case. children, the schools that you're naming, especially, I'll tell you, school number 7 is the former Cleveland school. Okay, that's not a new school. Anybody can tell you that's an old school. That's an old school. Exactly. So when you're saying, see, the Blue Ribbons are gifted and talented, and those children are chosen from schools like this, depending on their academic success. Okay, and then they're given the opportunity to go to those schools. So if a child succeeds in his neighborhood school at a higher level, and he's more than other children, he is allowed to go to these schools. Now, of course, the parent has a responsibility. If your child is going to school to disrupt the other children, you don't have a right to be there anymore. You lose that privilege. Because attendance and behavior are part of the agreement the parent signs when they apply to that school. Okay, the parent applies to participate in that school, and they agree that their child will behave, okay, and be part of that community and not disrupt that community. So when that happens, they lose. Okay, they lose their right to go to that school. It's the same when we started
But now, you can't.
If I may for a second.
Okay, let me just say this. I'm going to let you talk. Listen now. I think that's only fair that if you have a child who's trying to excel, who's trying to do the right thing, who's trying to get a good education, and then you have these kids who are distracting the class, who are causing the teacher to have to spend more time dealing with him than to teach the lesson, I'm in agreement that that child might need to be redirected somewhere where he can get some better attention. Because he's gonna mess up.
But why put that child? Why is it that
I see your question. You're saying the neighborhood school. I think I'm gonna let him talk. But before I let him talk, I just want to say this: that there is no area in the city of Elizabeth that should be looked at as poor and no good. This every area in the city of Elizabeth should be held just as important as any other area here in this city. And I really think that we ought to stop looking at issues as on a bad perspective and start looking at the potential that we can bring out of students, because if that's not be the case, I wouldn't be here right now moderating. So I just want us to please, sir, let's not look at the school, the geographical location, whether it's the port, middle, whatever. All of the Elizabeth should be treated the same.
Just as a matter of time, I would love to discuss these issues with you, maybe after the meeting, personally, but you have a stack of questions in your hand, and I don't want to get hung up on one topic, because I want to be able to address all of the concerns from everyone in the community. So if it's okay with you, I'd be more than happy to discuss this with you after the meeting and answer any additional questions you have regarding this topic. But I think it's important, as a matter of time, that we're able to get through all of the questions that people have, so that everyone can get their fair share.
Thank you. Now, is this a different question or is it related to what she's... Okay.
Good evening. We implemented the fact that all the schools are going to be a uniform school because we want the kids to have a sense of respect for themselves and to understand that they're there for education. My question to the board is that I want to know what you're going to do, because you said you're concerned about the safety of the children. And I have 2 sons, and they both in a way have been violated, which is thing that's going around in the school system, so-called pantsing, where the boys are pulling down the pants of other boys. I had another incident where my son was going to sit down and another student put the pencil up and so he could sit down. I did speak to the vice principal and it was addressed, but I also wanted to let him know that I would have took it a step further and take legal action, because the way that these children are conducting themselves, if it was an adult, it would be a sexual assault. I don't want my son to be able, my 10-year-old, to go to the bathroom and that They are climbing over the bathroom doors, under the bathroom doors to see each other. I heard it not only from boys, but also girls, their skirts. This can't be going on if we're there for the kids to get an education. I know it also comes within the household, for the parents to say, well, this is how, young boys and young girls should behave. But I would like to know what would be the guidelines, because I know it's not only my son's school, where the board can give a direction to empower the principals and the vice principals to better handle that situation.
Well, under the school point, the principals have the priority to deal with these issues. They deal with the discipline problems. They need to follow some type of structure, and it's up to the principal building to enforce the rules. And if there's anything that they need to do, they have the assistant superintendent. They need something, a stepfather, they will do that. But every school in the state is required to follow that. And I'm sorry that has happened to your child, but if it was addressed, it was with the best interest of the child. And we will continue to do that. It wasn't ignored, and it's addressed the best way it can be addressed. And I also ask the parents to work with us. As you say, the children, home environments have a lot to do with them. We need to talk to our children. We need to talk to them about respect, how to behave in school, things that are appropriate and are not appropriate to do at certain places. So that's, it's a dual situation. And I hope you do understand that it's not only happening in school, it could happen in any other place. Unfortunately, it did happen, but we need to teach our children that that's inappropriate behaviors.
I would also like to just say one other thing. I'm sorry, Reverend Martin, but I wanted to also bring to your attention that there are policies that we have in place, and the principals do know the policies. Assistant principals, the staff is aware. So if there's something that's not being addressed, I think that we have to, as parents, go and make sure that you address them to the principal. If it's not being addressed there, you go to the Mitchell building and speak to Jerome Dunn, or he's the assistant superintendent of community affairs. We have Olga Hugelmeyer, we have Jennifer Barrett. They are all assistant superintendents. So it doesn't stop. If something's not being addressed, it's very important that you follow it through, because a lot of times, we get too settled, and sometimes not just we get too settled, but things happen and we let it go. So I think it's very important that we follow those types of issues and situations through, because that's very, very important. We do not want to have our children in an unsafe environment. And as I've stated before, we do everything possible to make sure that the students are safe. If they're not safe in school, then we have a really big problem. And I really would like to encourage any parent who has a situation that has not been addressed due to the safety of your child or anything else, you please go to all the different people that we have in mind for you to go to. We as a board, we cannot address or actually go to the classroom, because that is beyond our realm. We're not supposed to step past that line. The superintendent and his staff, they manage the district, and we enforce policy. If we see that something is not being done according to the policy, then that is something that we need to look at as a board and fix or change the policy. So that's our responsibility. But as far as managing the district, it has to be addressed, and I must encourage you to go and speak to anyone else at the Board of Education to make sure that you don't run across these types of issues. And I apologize that your child or children have been, faced with that type of, situation.
I also want to apologize. I feel terrible that happened to your son, but the way that the policies and the procedures are in place are, you have an office of constituent services. There's a phone number that you can reach. There's also access to the website where you can put in whatever comments or questions or complaints that you may have. If you follow those channels, all those complaints, comments get recorded, and quarterly we get a report to what has happened at each school district. And this way, that's how we are kept abreast of everything that's happened. So your best bet is to start at the school level and make sure that you record or put on the website whatever your concern is. This way, there's a tracking mechanism. We can see when something happened, how it was handled, and if and when it was resolved. If you don't, then there's no way that we are aware of what's going on throughout the district. So there are channels put in place to make sure that you have access to Mr. Dunn and his Office of Community Affairs, but that piece is important for everyone to use so that we have a record of what's going on in each school.
Now also, just when you go through the process, just a suggestion that you talk to, I will get their name, I will get their information, when they're going to get back to you, so on and so on. I'm sure if you call Mr. Dunn's office, my wife probably will answer the phone, and I'm sure her and Mr. Dunn will be more than happy to walk you through that. If they don't, you call Reverend Bartley, 908-352-5750, and we'll make sure that we're standing there with you in issues like that. So 908-352-5750. That's it.
Are you going to pick up?
Yeah, if I don't, my secretary will call me back.
Will you call back?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your name?
My name is Pastor Steffie, Steffie, Bartley, B as in Bible, Artley. Well, but you have to go through the process. What they just pointed out, if you go through the process, because again, they handle the policies. That's their responsibility. And I'm so happy people don't understand that they're here tonight so that they can hear your concerns, so that they can go back and see what they can do to help you all solve these problems. And I think that's great. I think that's really great. Here's a question. You say Elizabeth School is #1 urban school district in New Jersey. How are we measured? What are the other urban school districts? What the other urban school districts offer? Right? Who put this question out? You say Elizabeth School is #1 urban school district in New Jersey. How are we measured? How are we measured by other schools? So how do you measure?
Being used to measure us those schools.
What method is being used to measure you all?
If you give me 1 second, I have some information that I can actually pull up.
Okay, he's looking up something to answer that question. While we're waiting on that, James, come up here and read this. The extended day will continue for the next year because it's not too long of a day. Kindergarten students, and there is not enough time to get children to after-school programs, sports. Students are tired, not academically because no benefits. Okay. Read that again. In other words, because they got all-day extended school, they don't have time to get to the after-school program. Something. It will continue. So they're saying that if it continues, that becomes a problem because the children are tired after this long extended day, and so now when they try to go to the after-school or play, they're worn out, right? Yeah. So what do you all suggest?
When we decided to implement extended day, we found that the data the superintendent provided us was that the longer the children are in school, the more they learn. And we found that a lot of parents did benefit from the fact that the children were in a longer day because it allowed them to work. So the balance, I can see where some people would be concerned. I see it in my children, they're tired. Absolutely. But I can also see it in the fact that they're excelling in their education. At the end of the day, that's our priority. We want them to excel in the classroom, not you know, that's the priority. If they have other things going on, that's great too. We want them to do that as well, but our priority was the education.
I'm gonna speak to that as well, because I have a son who actually was extended day extension year, and it was very difficult for me as a parent to adjust to that schedule. And in the beginning, it was difficult for him to adjust to that schedule as well. And again, he was involved in sports and all the other things after school as well. I can say that eventually he did adjust. Eventually I did adjust. I'm not crazy about the extended year thing, but we're trying to make sure that we use mechanisms of things that we can track that information to see really how effective it is. This is the first day we did it across the first year we did it across the entire district. So we will be doing it again next year, because we need to make sure that we can get some of that data to see if it is being affected, if it is not, if it's a balance, if it's not a balance. So it's in an initiative stage, it's in a stage where we're still, working with it to see if it's working. If it doesn't work, then of course we'll come back and we'll see how the community feels about it, and we'll address the issue again.
Getting back to the previous question regarding how we compare to other cities similar to Elizabeth, and why we feel that we're the #1 urban school district in New Jersey. A couple of weeks ago, World News and Report ranked Elizabeth High School as the number 6 high school in the state. And the way that they formulated that number was 100% of the Elizabeth High School students took the advanced placement exam. Okay? Of which, when you look at percentage of proficiency, 96% are proficient in math and 99% are proficient in English. When you look at similar cities to Elizabeth, Newark, Patterson, in Newark, 42% of their students took the advanced placement exam, and 24% in Patterson. So we set the bar a lot higher than similar cities, and as a result, our students are scoring a lot higher. So that's why it's not just us that we're saying that we're the #1 school district in New Jersey, urban school district in New Jersey. Newsweek, the Washington Post, Newsday, the numbers speak for themselves. I don't know what course offerings are available in Newark, Patterson, Passaic. I'm not a board member there. I'm very happy to be a board member here. But the numbers reflect that we, when compared to cities like Elizabeth, we far outpace them educationally.
Another thing I just want to bring to everyone's attention as well too is that, again, we do our best to try to excel our children. Our goal is to make sure that our children are educated, and they deserve that. And I think one of the things that we look at is numbers. We always look at numbers because we constantly compare ourselves to other urban districts that are exactly like us. And I know people say, you can't, we have to look at demographics. We have to look at all those things and take all of those things into consideration. And when we do that and compare it to the other districts that have, or equivalent to what we have in our district, we far exceed the expectation because we did set the bar high. Again, we have to go look at the data according to the way a lot of people don't understand. We don't come up with these policies, and we don't just come up with it and say, oh, hey, we're just going to do this. We do it and take into consideration as to what the other districts and what the other school systems are actually doing, whether they be a district exactly like us or not a district exactly like us. We even compare ourselves to non-urban districts, and we are still even excelling those districts. So we do our best to make sure that we look at that data that's out there. And those things that will come out in the paper, they have their own particular way of getting that information. They use the same scoring method or the same scoring mechanism. They use the same thing for every school, and then they come up with the numbers and place it. So that's what ends up happening.
Let me just give you one last fact about that.
High school as a whole, or Elizabeth High School as far as upper academies, because I know Science High School, if you say Science High School compared to upper academy, yes. If you say Shabazz compared to Elizabeth High School, talking about holding the wire, then that's what I want to see. If you say Elizabeth High School, are you talking about as a whole? And I think it's not.
That's a different question than what you asked. You asked how. Okay, that's a different question than what I understood. And the data that I have at hand is regarding the high school. Now, regarding curriculums and instruction in different cities, I don't know what they offer. Okay, I can only speak for what we do in Elizabeth, and we are progressing very quickly as a district, but you got to remember, education is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Okay, and we won School 1 and School 2 and School 3 to eventually become Blue Ribbon schools, but they're trending upward, and we will eventually get there. But right now, if you look at our district as a whole, where last year 67% of our schools made adequate yearly progress, we're going on the incline, not on the decline.
And just to add to that, as of today, I had a discussion